Billionaire saw a single mom cancel her son's birthday cake. His next move brought everyone to tears. The security camera at Sweet Dreams Bakery captured it all. A young woman in scrubs counting crumpled bills at the counter, her voice breaking as she told the baker she needed to cancel her son's birthday cake order. What the camera didn't record was the man in the corner booth, tech billionaire Ethan Blackwood, who overheard everything, including the part where she whispered that her son's father had promised to pay for the party but had disappeared again. No one could have predicted what would happen next, least of all single mother Jessica Martinez, who had no idea that her simple act of maternal sacrifice would not only change her life and her son's forever, but would ultimately expose a decades-old secret that would shake the foundations of Ethan Blackwood's carefully constructed world. If you're already feeling the pull of this unexpected connection between two strangers from different worlds, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us how a single moment of compassion can ripple outward in ways we never imagined, transforming lives and healing wounds we didn't even know existed. Jessica Martinez was exhausted. At 32, the single mother of soon-to-be 8-year-old Miguel had mastered the art of functioning on minimal sleep, stretching every dollar until it screamed, and maintaining a brave face no matter what life threw at her. But today, even her considerable resilience was being tested. Her shift at Memorial Hospital had run 3 hours over when a multi-car accident had sent the ER into organized chaos. Her babysitter had charged extra for the unexpected extension. Her ex-husband Carlos had texted that he couldn't contribute to Miguel's birthday party after all, claiming financial hardship despite the new sports car he posted on social media last week. And now, here she was at Sweet Dreams Bakery, about to break her son's heart. "I'm so sorry," Jessica said quietly to the baker, a kind-faced woman named Maria who had created Miguel's birthday cakes since he was 3. "I need to cancel the Spider-Man cake for Saturday." Maria's expression softened with understanding. "Is everything okay, Jessica?" "Just some budget issues," Jessica replied, forcing a smile. "I'll still make him a cake at home. It won't be Spider-Man, but he'll understand." That was a lie. Miguel would understand because he always did, because at 8 years old he had already learned to lower his expectations when it came to celebrations, to his father's promises, to life's little luxuries that other children took for granted. The thought made Jessica's throat tighten painfully. "I can give you a discount," Maria offered, her voice low. "For a loyal customer." Jessica shook her head. "That's very kind, but even with a discount, I just can't swing it right now. His father was supposed to." She trailed off, unwilling to air her personal problems in the small bakery. "Maybe next year." As Jessica turned to leave, a deep voice spoke from behind her. "Excuse me." She turned to see a man rising from a corner table where he'd been working on a laptop. Tall, with dark hair just beginning to gray at the temples, he wore the kind of casual clothes that only the very wealthy can afford. Simple in design, but clearly expensive in material and fit. "I couldn't help overhearing," he said, approaching the counter. "Please, don't cancel the cake. I'd like to pay for it." Jessica stiffened, pride immediately overriding her financial concerns. "That's very kind, but we don't need charity." The man didn't seem offended by her bluntness. "Not charity. Consider it a pay-it-forward moment. Someone helped me once when I was in a tight spot." "A tight spot?" Jessica couldn't help the skeptical note in her voice as she took in his obviously expensive watch and custom shoes. A smile flickered across his face, revealing a dimple in his right cheek. "Hard to believe, I know, but it's true." He extended his hand. "I'm Ethan." "Jessica," she replied automatically, shaking his hand briefly. "And really, while I appreciate the gesture, we'll be fine." Maria, who had been watching this exchange with interest, spoke up. "Jessica, your son has been talking about this Spider-Man cake for months. He even came in with his drawing of exactly how he wanted it to look." The reminder of Miguel's excitement made Jessica waver. He had indeed been planning this cake since Christmas, carefully drawing his design and revising it multiple times until it was perfect. Ethan seemed to sense her internal struggle. "Please, it would make my day to do this. I have a nephew about your son's age who's also Spider-Man obsessed." It was the mention of a nephew that somehow made the offer feel less like charity and more like one parent, or uncle, understanding another. Still, Jessica hesitated. "Tell you what," Ethan said, pulling out his wallet. "I'll pay for the cake, and if you decide you're comfortable with that, You can pick it up on Saturday. If not, Maria can donate it to a children's shelter. Either way, a kid gets a Spider-Man cake. Put that way, it was hard to refuse. Jessica nodded slowly. Thank you. That's very generous. It's just a cake, Ethan said with a shrug, though something in his eyes suggested he understood it was much more than that. As he paid Maria, Jessica noticed him adding something else to the order, but she was too emotionally drained to question it. She thanked him again and left quickly, before the tears threatening at the corners of her eyes could fall. What Jessica didn't know as she walked to the bus stop was that Ethan Blackwood was not just any wealthy man making a random kind gesture. As the founder and CEO of Blackwood Technologies, he was worth billions, not millions. His face regularly appeared in business magazines, and his company's innovative medical software was revolutionizing patient care in hospitals across the country, including Memorial, where Jessica worked as a nurse. Nor could she have known that Ethan had been coming to Sweet Dreams Bakery every Thursday for the past month, despite living on the other side of the city, because something about the small, family-owned shop reminded him of his childhood in ways that both comforted and haunted him. And she certainly couldn't have guessed that her son's Spider-Man cake would be the catalyst for a connection that would change both their lives in ways neither could imagine. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear, a perfect day for a birthday party. Jessica had done her best to create a festive atmosphere in their small apartment, hanging streamers and balloons in Miguel's favorite red and blue Spider-Man colors. The guest list was small, just 4 friends from school, Miguel's best friend Zach from next door, and Jessica's sister Elena with her 2 children. Can we pick up my cake now? Miguel asked for the 3rd time that morning, practically vibrating with excitement in his Spider-Man pajamas, his dark eyes shining. Jessica checked her watch. The bakery had been open for exactly 7 minutes. Let's give them a little more time, Mijo. The party's not until 1 o'clock. The truth was, Jessica was still conflicted about accepting the cake from a stranger. Part of her had considered baking one herself anyway, but Miguel's heart was so set on the special design that she couldn't bring herself to disappoint him. Still, she planned to find out Ethan's last name and somehow repay him, perhaps in installments. By 11 o'clock, she could no longer delay without risking Miguel's suspicion. They walked the 4 blocks to Sweet Dreams Bakery, Miguel chattering the entire way about how this was going to be the best birthday ever, and how he couldn't wait to see his cake. The bell above the door jingled as they entered. Maria looked up from behind the counter and broke into a wide smile. "There's the birthday boy," she exclaimed. 8 years old today, right? Miguel nodded proudly. "I'm practically grown up now." "Indeed you are," Maria agreed solemnly, though her eyes twinkled. "And grown-ups get very special cakes." She disappeared into the back room, returning moments later with a cake box. Jessica reached for her wallet, still planning to at least leave a tip, but Maria shook her head slightly. "It's all taken care of," she said quietly. When Maria opened the box, Jessica gasped. It was not just the Spider-Man cake Miguel had designed. It was an elaborate creation that far exceeded the original plan, with a 3-dimensional Spider-Man figure perched atop a New York skyline, complete with tiny LED lights that made the buildings glow. "This isn't what we ordered," Jessica said, stunned. "This must have cost." "It's exactly what the gentleman paid for," Maria interrupted gently. "And there's more." She handed Jessica an envelope. "He asked me to give you this." Miguel was too entranced by the cake to notice the exchange. "Mom, look, Spider-Man is actually standing on the buildings. And they light up. This is the coolest cake ever." Jessica managed a smile for her son while discreetly opening the envelope. Inside was a gift card to Toys Galaxy, Miguel's favorite store, for $200, along with a note written in a strong, clear hand. Asterisk, happy birthday to Miguel. Every superhero deserves a special day. No need to repay. Just enjoy celebrating your son. Ethan B. Asterisk. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. $200 was an extravagant amount, far more than she would have spent even if money weren't tight. Combined with the clearly expensive cake, this stranger's generosity was overwhelming. "Mom, are you crying?" Miguel asked, finally tearing his attention away from the cake. "Don't you like it?" "I love it," Jessica assured him, quickly wiping her eyes. "I'm just happy that you're happy." As they carefully carried the cake home, Jessica found herself wondering about Ethan B. Who was he really? Why had he done this? And how had he known exactly what would make Miguel's day so special? The party was a success beyond Jessica's expectations. The children were awestruck by the cake. The Spider-Man decorations transformed their modest apartment into a superhero headquarters, and Miguel declared it the best birthday in the history of birthdays, even before opening his presents. When the last guest had left and Miguel was happily playing with his new toys, Jessica's sister Elena helped her clean up. "So who is he?" Elena asked casually, too casually, as she gathered wrapping paper into a trash bag. "Who?" "The mystery man who bought that incredible cake and gave Miguel a gift card that let him get the deluxe Lego set he's been dreaming about for months." Jessica sighed. She should have known she couldn't keep secrets from her sister. "His name is Ethan. That's all I know. He was at the bakery when I went to cancel the original cake, and he offered to pay for it." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Just like that? No strings attached?" "Apparently." Jessica shrugged. "He said someone helped him once, and he was paying it forward." "Hmm." Elena looked skeptical. "And you have no idea who he is?" "No last name. Just the initial B." Jessica showed her the note, which she'd kept in her pocket all day. Elena studied it, then pulled out her phone and began typing. "What are you doing?" Jessica asked. "Research," Elena replied, her fingers flying over the screen. "Ethan B., wealthy enough to drop hundreds on a stranger's kid, probably a regular at Sweet Dreams since he was there in the middle of a weekday." She turned her phone to show Jessica a search result. Could it be this guy? Ethan Blackwood. Jessica stared at the photo on the screen. It was indeed the man from the bakery, though in the picture he was more formally dressed in a suit and tie, standing in front of a sleek glass building with Blackwood Technologies emblazoned above the entrance. "Ethan Blackwood," Jessica read aloud. "Founder and CEO of Blackwood Technologies." She scrolled through the article, her eyes widening. "Elena, this man is a billionaire. Not a millionaire, a billionaire with a B." "Well," Elena said with a low whistle. "Mystery solved. Though it does raise the question of why a tech billionaire is hanging out in a neighborhood bakery and buying cakes for strangers." Jessica had no answer for that. She spent the rest of the evening pondering the same question, even as she helped Miguel get ready for bed, surrounded by his new toys and still talking excitedly about his amazing cake. "Mom," he said as she tucked him in, his voice suddenly serious. "This was the best birthday ever. Thank you." Jessica's heart swelled with love for her son, who could still find such joy despite the many disappointments life had already handed him. "You're welcome, Mijo. I'm glad you had fun." "Dad missed a really great party," Miguel added, his attempt at casualness not quite hiding the hurt beneath. "Yes, he did," Jessica agreed, smoothing his dark hair back from his forehead. "But everyone else who loves you is here. And the cake man," Miguel said sleepily. "He must be nice to give me such a cool cake." "The cake man," Jessica repeated softly. "Yes, he must be." After Miguel fell asleep, Jessica sat at her small kitchen table with her laptop, searching for more information about Ethan Blackwood. The more she read, the more intrigued she became. Orphaned at 12 when his parents died in a car accident, Ethan had been raised by his grandmother in a working-class neighborhood not unlike Jessica's own. He'd won a scholarship to MIT, founded Blackwood Technologies at 23, and built it into one of the most innovative medical technology companies in the world. Now, at 40, he was known not only for his business acumen, but for his philanthropy, particularly focused on children's healthcare and education. What the articles didn't explain was why such a man would be sitting alone in Sweet Dreams Bakery on a Thursday afternoon, or why he would take such an interest in a stranger's canceled birthday cake. Jessica closed her laptop, knowing she should get some sleep before her early shift tomorrow. But as she got ready for bed, she made a decision. She would find a way to thank Ethan Blackwood properly, and perhaps discover the real story behind his unexpected kindness. Monday morning found Jessica at Memorial Hospital, beginning her shift in the pediatric ward. As she checked her patient assignments for the day, her supervisor, Nancy, approached with an unusual request. "Jessica, we need you to assist with a VIP tour this morning," Nancy said. "The CEO of Blackwood Technologies is visiting to see the implementation of their new patient monitoring system, and administration wants our best nurses involved." Jessica froze. "Blackwood Technologies? As in Ethan Blackwood?" Nancy looked surprised. "Yes, you've heard of him." "You could say that," Jessica murmured. "What time is the tour?" 9 o'clock. "Don't worry, Tara will cover your patients." Nancy studied her curiously. Is everything okay? Fine, Jessica assured her. Just surprised. As 9 o'clock approached, Jessica found herself uncharacteristically nervous. She smoothed her scrubs, checked her hair in the reflection of a window, and then silently laughed at herself. What did it matter how she looked? This was a professional interaction, nothing more. She would thank Mr. Blackwood politely for his kindness, and that would be the end of it. The tour group arrived precisely on time. The hospital administrator, 2 board members, and Ethan Blackwood himself, looking every inch the successful CEO in a tailored suit that made his appearance at the bakery seem like a distant memory. He was accompanied by a younger man who was introduced as the Chief Technology Officer of Blackwood Technologies. Jessica stood with the other selected staff members as introductions were made. When the administrator reached her, he said, "And this is Jessica Martinez, one of our most experienced pediatric nurses." Ethan's eyes met hers, recognition flickering immediately. If he was surprised to discover she worked at Memorial, he hid it well. "Nurse Martinez," he said formally, extending his hand. "A pleasure to meet you." "Likewise, Mr. Blackwood," Jessica replied, shaking his hand briefly. "Thank you for visiting our department." If anyone noticed anything unusual in the exchange, they didn't comment. The tour proceeded, with the administrator explaining how Blackwood's monitoring system had improved patient care, while Ethan asked thoughtful questions about its practical implementation. When they reached the children's playroom, they found several young patients engaged in various activities. Miguel's best friend Zach was there, recovering from an appendectomy 2 days earlier. He spotted Jessica and waved enthusiastically. "Nurse Jess, come see what I made." Jessica excused herself from the group and went to examine Zach's Lego creation. As she admired it appropriately, she was aware of Ethan watching her interaction with the child. "This is Miguel's friend from next door," she explained when Ethan approached. "Zach, this is Mr. Blackwood. His company makes the computers that help us take care of you." Zach looked up with interest. "Cool. Do you know how to code?" "Miguel is learning coding at school, and he says it's like telling a computer how to think." "Miguel is exactly right," Ethan replied, crouching down to Zach's level despite his expensive suit. "And yes, I do know how to code. It's how I started my company." Miguel had the best birthday party ever.